Is the first of a monthly series that we'll be doing. I'm inviting people to submit videos of pieces that they're working on. They can be in various degrees of preparation. The two pieces that we're going to hear today are extremely well prepared, but you're also welcome to submit videos if you don't feel like they're completely polished yet and you just want some feedback and some ideas on how to practice them, how to improve. Just let me know, send me an email. I'll have my email address in the description once we finish with the live. So today we have two excellent pianists who have submitted videos, both by composers more or less from the same era. Actually, the first piece is a ballade by Burgmüller, a German composer born in 1806. And lived until the 1870s. And the other is by Stephen Heller, a Hungarian pianist born in 1813 and lived until 1888. And these two composers are really interesting because they were alive and active during kind of the golden age of piano repertoire. They met Chopin and Liszt and Schumann, and they were all familiar with each other and with each other's music. And so I think there's a lot that we can learn from these pieces, and both of them are outstanding composers, have really nice repertoire for students of all ages, but also for this advancing stage from like late, beginner, early, intermediate until quite advanced, and a lot of really, really nice options. So the first piece we're going to hear is from Burgmüller. It's his ballade from Opus 100 in C minor, Opus 100 number 15, if you're interested. So well performed. You're so well prepared with this piece. You know it really, really well. And there are really just small things to be working on here. So I just have some very picky, tiny things that you can consider when you're practicing this moving forward. But bravo, well done, just extremely well prepared. And it's really obvious that you enjoy this piece, which is always so fun to see when students are enjoying their music. At the very beginning, you do an excellent job of creating this misterioso that it has in the score. And I really like your tempo. In my score, it's suggested to go 104 beats per minute for the dotted quarter note. I think that's too fast. I really, really like your tempo. I think it's allegro con brio. I think you bring the character really nicely to this piece. And you really nail this misterioso at the beginning. The staccato chords. And then the left hand coming in. And it's really tricky to get this nice and clean here because the pattern in the left hand, these 16th notes, it can be hard to keep them really super, super clean. You're keeping them clean, but they're not always exactly with the chords. And the big beats line up. So the first beat of each measure is always together. So it's not noticeable unless someone is really sitting there and listening for it. And I find it difficult actually. To really make sure that it's very evenly together. Together, left, together. And really having that up to tempo and very clean and even. So you can keep practicing that nice and slow. And then just kind of speed up, and just work on fine-tuning your listening there, because that's something that's always really tricky. It's basically together. It's almost perfect, but they're just not quite exactly laser sharp together like we would like them to be. You do a great job with that crescendo there and with that sforzando. And again, your atmosphere in this piece, you're just doing a really, really great job. The next thing that you can work on here, we have the same theme that comes up twice, and we even have patterns that are repeating. So everything almost is, we have 2 measures of C minor chords, and then 2 measures of this kind of growly introduction, and then the jumps to these sforzandos. And then we have exactly the same thing again. So it's your call how you want to do that, but I would suggest trying to find some sort of variation there. You've got a really strong basis. You don't need to worry about keeping it in, or you have, the notes are all there, but I think you can make this even more exciting by either when it repeats, you can make it more intense. Or maybe when you have these repeats, you want to come back a little bit. So we also, with these jumps, this 6 from C to A, you can think of that as an echo, or you can think of it as an intensifier. And there's no right or wrong answer there. That's the nice thing about things like this. It's open to interpretation. He doesn't tell us that one is louder than the other. It's your call as a performer, and so you get to really have fun there and be creative. And I think that will just bring even more excitement into your performance of this. You're already playing it really so well. I can't stress that enough. But I would suggest doing that. And then we have the same thing coming back on the second page. And so there you could do it. You don't have to do it the same way as you do on the first page either. You can do it one way on the first page and then a different way in the recapitulation to keep things really interesting and to keep us on the edge of our seat. And then we have these chords that are jumping around. And I think there you can intensify a lot more, because until now, it's been piano this whole time. We have, of course, slide crescendos and decrescendos, and we have these sforzandi in the left hand. But until we get to here, it's piano the whole time. And there we have a crescendo, and we're building up to the C minor arpeggio going all the way across the piano. And your notes are very secure there. You don't need to worry about your notes. Your rhythm is perfect. You're finding everything. And so I think you can go for it a little bit more. I think you can try to make it even more exciting there. And I would crescendo all the way through that, I think. And the chords, I would keep them just a tiny bit shorter. That's my personal taste, because we have these little top hats on top of them, and that's usually implying that it's not quite the full length. We play it a little bit shorter. And then you do such a great job on the fermata there, because we have this chord, we have the G major chord. What's coming now? Are we going back to this? But no, he takes us to a whole other world, and you really do a great job of keeping the suspense in that fermata. You do that very, very well. So build up the tension even more here. This you do perfectly. And then, like I said before, it's a whole new world. So we have, I would try to keep the left hand even lighter. You're doing a really good job. Your right hand is singing on top and the left hand is in its place where it should be. But I think we can hear the right hand a bit more. And you can try to maybe draw that line out a little bit to make it even more legato. You're playing legato, but if we shape it a little bit, then the phrase is longer. And the transition there, you do very nicely. In my score, it has a I like how you did it, that the first time you come back down, and you kind of surprise us with this really nice melody comes back, because it seems like we might be moving forward back to this minor world that's very serious and mysterious. But we get this nice singing line one more time, and you do a really nice job of bringing that out. So how do we work on making this singing line? I would honestly suggest singing along with your playing there. It doesn't matter if you like singing. Nobody else has to hear you. You don't have to sing it when you perform it. But singing along when we play, it helps us to not think like a pianist sometimes. Sometimes it's really good if we try to get out of our piano key world and everything is right here and it's really easy to reach these intervals. But to sing it, it's really not so simple. We have a crescendo after that G, and then we come back down and start over. And just listening really, really carefully and being very intentional about how you want to shape that melody. It's such a beautiful line, and it's so contrasting to what we have at the opening of the piece. And don't be afraid to really lean into that and to enjoy that nice melody. So the right hand, you're going to practice alone and really work on this singing tone, bringing that out. And then there's the problem sometimes that when we work on bringing out a singing line in one hand, the other hand tries to join in a little bit. And that's what we don't want. We want the left hand to be really nice and in the background. You can practice this alone also. I think you can give it nice shape. It has a nice harmonic push and pull in. That one's really pushing us forward. So on the one hand, getting really clear on the hand separately. I know you've practiced this hand separately. It's clear that you really know your music very well. But now maybe less is I have to learn the notes, and more of a, wow, how beautiful is this music? And just really kind of sinking into enjoying that, because it's beautiful music, and we should enjoy it. We should have fun with the things we're learning. So that's step one, is separately and really shaping everything how you want it and knowing exactly what you want from your music. Then there's still the issue of, if the right hand has the singing line, the left hand maybe joins in a little bit too much and kind of over exaggerates its part too. I like to use, you can't see my hands. I like to use an exercise called ghosting. And what that means is you press each key, you play every note, but not to the point that we're hearing them. You're just going to play it on the surface, and you're going to play every single note as it's written. And the right hand is going to play normally. So this works also when the melody's in the left hand, you just switch the roles. But and make sure you're getting the line you want from the right hand while you do this. it maybe looks easy right now. This is not a simple technique. So go slower. Don't try to do this in tempo the first few times. But then once you get through, and you don't have to do the whole section either. You can also start with just the first 2 or 4 bars. I think you'd be fine with 4, maybe even with 8. But give it a try. And then when you put it back together, there's something about this over exaggeration that the right hand is really playing its full tone and the left hand isn't playing at all, or not creating any sound, it's playing. That when it comes back together, it's much simpler to get the effect that we want. Whoops, sorry. And so I think that that's something you can play around with there. You're doing a beautiful job. You're shaping the line. Just exaggerate and lean into that even more and give the ghosting a try. I think that that can help you out there. Then we move on to the recapitulation. We have this short transition. And here, the transition, it's hard to get it just right. You do a good job. You're very steady. You're doing a good job of shaping everything. But I think what we can do here is, because the first section, the left hand has the melody, right? By and large. And then in the second section, the right hand has the melody. And here in this transition, for most of the time, the melody is also in the right hand. And then we have the sword, and then it's coming down. And I think you can start to shift your focus to the left hand and really bringing that out as the melody. And then the line goes all the way to the C, because otherwise again, I can't stress enough how beautiful you're playing this piece, and you're doing a really, really nice job. But I think that this is what takes it from wow, great, to wow, what a beautiful piece. That's just incredible. And what you can do here is you start to shift the focus to the left hand. You can hear, if you listen really carefully, I'm also not keeping those quite as clearly together as I would like to have them, honestly. But this transitions, because otherwise, if you do this, then it's like we seamlessly come back to this opening idea, and it's kind of, we don't even know how we got there. It was so smooth, the transition. Otherwise, it's wow, very nice section, wow, very nice section, wow, very nice transition. Okay, we're back to the opening. And so this is just and it's a teeny tiny detail, but as they say idiomatically, the devil's in the details. Sometimes it's really these small things that can make a big difference. So I would encourage you to really, I'll do it one more time so you can hear it one more. We have, and then the left hand's taking over. And then we're back to what we had before. Then it's a lot of the same stuff that you're already doing very nicely. For these chords, you're voicing them well. I especially like how you're voicing the left hand. You're really hearing the voice that's going on there. At least that you're doing very well. I would like to hear a little bit more of the top line. And then start even more on the G this time. To hold the tension all the way through that line. And I really like how you voice these chords. You're bringing out the E flat, we have the G, and then the D on the bottom of the chord, which is most of the time we're trying to bring out the top note of the chord, but I think it's so much more interesting the way that you're doing it here. You're bringing out the E flat, and then the D, and then it resolves to C. And here also make sure that you're listening, that it's really super crisp and clear. And it's hard because it's also decrescendoing. And there, I think you can be a little more playful at the very end. It's piano, we've had all this drama, but then, I don't know, this almost sounds like laughter to me. Because they're staccato, this should be light. Yeah, it's a very fun piece. Thank you so much for sharing your performance with us. And let me know if you have any further questions with any of the things that I suggested. And I'm very excited to see how you progress with this piece. You're doing a lot of really nice work. Thank you so much. Great. Then our second piece is from Stephen Heller. It's also a very nice piece. I think that he's an interesting figure. Both of them are really lovely composers, and I'm sure had very interesting lives. But Heller is, I find, particularly interesting because he was born exactly 2 years after Franz Liszt and died exactly 2 years after Franz Liszt. And they lived sort of these parallel lives. He also was a very renowned prodigy as a youth, maybe not quite to the extent that Liszt was, but he was born in Pest in Hungary and then moved to Vienna because his parents wanted him to have the opportunity to really explore his musical potential. And he was supposed to study with Czerny, like Liszt did, actually, but then his family couldn't afford the lessons, so he ended up studying with someone else. But it's interesting how they kind of moved to the same areas, they moved in the same circles, and later on they were both living in Paris at the same time also. So interesting lives, interesting people. This is a really nice piece. It's one of his 24 preludes, and these, I think I would say, are very inspired by Chopin's 24 preludes. He uses the same structure that we have. The first one is in C major, the second one is in A minor, then G major, E minor, and he moves through the circle of fifths with each of those. This is number 10 in C sharp minor. And just a really lovely piece. So let's hear the performance of this. And very nice. Such lovely playing. Thank you so much for sharing your performance with us. like I said, just a beautiful piece. And I think he had to have been kind of tipping his hat to the Chopin preludes because it's also quite tricky. It has a lot of virtuosic little figures, and you're doing it so well. It's really flowing very nicely. And I had something else I was going to say. It's clear that you really enjoy playing this piece and you really enjoy playing. And like I said before, with the Berliner, it's always so nice to see when students are enjoying their music making. Um, Technically, you really have a good mastery of this piece. I think just like the piece before, there are just some really fine details that you can do that will take this from wow, what a nice performance, to wow, what a beautiful piece. I can't believe I've never heard of this Heller guy before. Who is he? Because I think he's an extremely underrated composer. The the tempo marking here is really interesting. I don't know which edition you have. I've seen an edition that said something about light and tracing, which is the idea, but here in the copy that I have says in German, it's also translated, but mit rascher Leichtigkeit hingeworfen, with just very simply but quickly thrown out. Like so the translation here is thrown off swiftly and easily, like a pen and ink sketch in der Art einer Federzeichen. So it's literally like someone has this quill, they've dipped in the ink, and they're drawing something really fast, and it's just really kind of dashed off, and then it should just be light, I think. And um I really love your phrasing. I think you're doing such a nice job of shaping your lines. And I think the just next level for this would be going back through the scales nice and slow so that you can really build a little bit more shape into the running figure. So your big scale phrasing is really nice. You're taking time where you should take time. And I don't think you technically have troubles with this piece. Maybe the bigger arpeggio figures at the end are a little bit trickier, and there might be a few things that we could look at. But in general, I think this is well matched to you. This piece suits you really well, and you're doing quite well with all of these tricky little figures that we have. But I think the next level would be and those you shape really nicely too. These octave jumps, you're doing it so nicely. You go up to the top one, and then you land lightly on the second with these octave jumps, and that's so hard to do, to really kind of imitate a singer. And you're doing that really well, because it's so easy as pianists to just kind of right? It should just kind of be kind of clunky there, and you're not doing that at all. You're really shaping it very nicely. I would just suggest then just listening just kind of exaggerating the shape of those a few times, nice and slow. And I don't know what articulation you have there. Here in my copy, it's all legato. I think it's nice to do the groups separately there. And I think in your copy, it might even be notated that way. But just enjoying these figures a little bit more, so that when you speed it back up, that it has just a little bit more shape to it. Because don't worry about the tempo for this. You're going to get it in. I like your tempo. The tempo that's marked here is 138 beats per minute. That is extremely fast. And mit rascher Leichtigkeit, okay? Maybe it could go just a tick faster, but I think in general, there's an argument to be made, but I also think if you're happy with your tempo, I'm happy with your tempo. And really, the only person who needs to be happy with it is you. You're the one who's playing it, and you're very free to enjoy it the way that you want to have it. So just kind of, I would encourage you to practice this slowly and to not worry about the tempo. Sometimes I think we see the tempo marking and we want to meet that goal, and we want to speed things up and have them in a certain tempo. But then we start to get a little bit stiff, and we start to lose some of the finer details that we can just enjoy a little bit more. So don't worry about going too fast. Don't worry about rushing through this, and just enjoy taking your time there. Full disclaimer, I have never played this piece before. I looked at it a little bit today in the morning, and I'm going to play it more because it's such a nice piece and I really like it. And then maybe in May I'll have a few more helpful things to say. But your balance is also quite good. The left hand could maybe be a little bit lighter because again, the translation here is maybe not the best, thrown off swiftly and easily. But Leichtigkeit comes from the word light, and that it just needs this kind of airy sense. So it's hurried, it's maybe a bit hectic, but it still has this airy sense about it. Sorry. So maybe try to keep the left hand just a little bit lighter there. Maybe a tiny bit less pedal could help also. Because the bass note is also always just an eighth note, so yeah. Mhm. And then here, it's so tricky. And you're doing a great job with it. Sorry. And I didn't take their beat. There, you could maybe try to make a little bit more of a line. You're bringing out the melody really nicely. And then we get interrupted, and it's this sudden piano, or suddenly back to piano. We've kind of been piano the whole time. And then you shape the phrases so nicely in this section. So going back to this little chunk there, that this maybe just try to connect the melody a little bit more. I know it's not legato, but just to have a little bit more this idea of, you could maybe even practice just with the upper note. Sorry, minor. Again, minor. My goodness. Just so that you can hear what you want to do there a little bit more. Maybe you're very happy with how you're doing it, and that's fine. I like what you're doing there. You're shaping things really nicely, but just maybe you can bring out that melody even more, and you can hear the relationships if we don't have this busyness happening with the hands, with everything that's going on. Or another thing that you could do is just block the chords, because it is a full harmony, these eighth note patterns. So we have that could be another way that you can practice it, is just kind of smooshing everything in the right hand together, and the left hand goes about its business. And I like how you're doing the left hand. You're doing such a nice job. You really have very clear this hierarchy that sometimes gets lost in pieces like this, because when we have a lot of 16th notes, it's easy kind of for our heads to just explode and be like, oh, what is even going on? And you're really bringing out the hierarchy. What do I mean by that? You're lightly emphasizing the first note of each beat of each group of 4 16th notes, and that's exactly what you should do. You're doing such a nice job there. Otherwise, it just kind of turns into a mess of notes, and it all runs together, and it's kind of soup. But you don't do that at all. You have, the structure is really clear. You're doing a really nice job there. If you want to work on bringing that out even more, you can practice it even staccato. You can practice it in different rhythms. If you want to find ways to, but actually maybe more helpful is just kind of, like I suggested for the right hand at the opening, is to just kind of lean into these patterns. And see exactly where you want the line to go in each instance, because your hierarchy is great, but I think you can work on direction just a little bit more, that it's not notes, but that it's leading us somewhere. And then I think that can just bring that to the next level. Then we have, your phrasing here is so lovely and it's so elegant. You're doing such a great job with, sorry, D sharp. And then here, that whole section is so nice. And then when the left hand comes in with these 8th notes, I think you can bring that out more, and that will also help your crescendo, because it's hard to get these 16th notes really loud, because without getting tight at the same time, right? And we do need this lightness, but it is crescendoing, and we're building all the way up, and then we don't quite know where it's going, because we've had this little kind of adventure through other keys. We're back to C minor, but where's it going? We're going back to this lovely melody. And so I think you can exaggerate that a little bit more by doing the crescendo more in the left hand. The left hand is kind of driving the bus there. And then we back off again. Then we have this lovely melody coming back in. But yeah, I think the left hand, I would have to practice that more to be able to show you better, but I would bring that out more, and that will intensify this effect of this just kind of swirling. It's really just swirling through the air there. But the right hand has so much going on, and the left hand is the one that's really anchoring it, because it's swirling through the air, but it also has a certain structure to it, and it's not too wild, it's not too lost there. And then we have a very similar pattern. So we have this melody again. Sorry, E natural. And then here, when we get to this big forte, I would bring out the left hand a lot more because I think that's the left hand's chance to shine. The right hand has had most of the fun in this piece, and now it's the left hand's turn. She gets to have some fun too. So I would really bring out that melody. We have this big crescendo. Sorry. Yeah, it's a really nice line, and it's the left hand's chance. I know the right hand has a lot going on, and I know it's distracting, but I think of course, that's extremely slow because I'm side reading here, but it's such a nice melody. It has such a nice shape to it. And then it has these dissonances. It's such a nice piece. And so more left hand at the end, I think that's really where the melody is. And I think on the one hand, I know the right hand has a lot going on, and it can be a bit distracting. But it gives you something else to focus on besides notes. Too much going on. It clarifies the structure a little bit too, because the right hand, these jumps are very. I mean, it's always the big jump is always on the offbeat, which is somehow weird. So I think you can lead more with the left hand, and I lost my train of thought. Lead more with the left hand. It's the melodic figure, and that will help stabilize you a little bit, and then it kind of takes the pressure off the right hand. If you muff some notes and there are some splashes to some neighbor tones, it's really not such a big deal because we're not focused over here anymore. This is just shiny material, right? This is just these are the things that are flying through the air, and the left hand is really the melody, and that's what we're really holding on to with our ear. And so it just takes the pressure off. It makes it easier to just have fun with this piece instead of worrying constantly about the notes, because I know it's not fun to be stressing about that. And then the very end, I wouldn't slow down too soon. I know it's kind of this like, whew, I made it. Whew, I survived. I know that feeling, but remember, mit Leichtigkeit. So it's supposed to sound light. Oh, that was easy. And that's it. So you can take your time with when the half notes are in my score. That's also where the retard is written. Here, there's no retard, and they are staccato with tenuto, so they're not super short. It's not. It is. I mean, just imagine that. So somehow the image here is that someone's drawing very quickly, and then maybe they drew too quickly, and the paper flew through the air, and then this is where the paper is just kind of falling back to earth, right? Dun, dun, dun. Of course, the movement was exaggerated. And just take your time with the very, very last chords. But this is just coming back to earth. And your voicing is nice here. You're doing a really good job of bringing. That's lovely. Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing your music with us, to both of you. I hope that you were able to take some things away from my feedback on your pieces. You both are doing such a great job. You just play so well, and it's such a blessing that there are people in the world who love making music. So that makes my heart happy. Thank you again for joining me. If you have any questions, just drop them in the comments below, or send me an email. That will be in the description in just a moment, or find me on Instagram. You can also get in touch with me over there. Piano with Robin is the handle over there too. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. And if you would like to send submissions, just send me an email, and I will see you back here in May. Thanks so much.